I believe every relationship is fundamentally a wave, an energetic vibration or resonance between individuals. There is always a subtle frequency present in human interaction, shaping the quality and ease of connection. When two people are attuned to very different energetic frequencies, even with the best intentions, it can become difficult to experience mutual understanding or alignment. When you're engaged in hands-on work with a wide range of people, do you ever encounter that kind of vibrational dissonance when someone's energy feels out of sync with yours? In those moments, how do you remain present and connected? What internal orientation or mindset allows you to work skillfully when your frequencies don't naturally align?
And there are people that are energetically you avoid. Uh, and you can do that in a social situation. You know, you can pick your own friends. When you're in a teaching situation and people are coming to you and paying you money to learn something, you can't say, I can't work with you, get out of here. You know, you can't, you don't want to say that because you don't know whether you can. The woman that I just described, the doctor that came in, didn't say a word the whole lesson. She was here, I was there. She just would not respond. Just when I would ask her questions, she wouldn't say anything. It lay on the table. So you have to withhold defining the way you think that person should be responding and determine how they are responding and work with what they can accept and what they can understand. I don't talk like this to everybody that comes in. They're all different. When somebody comes in like that, there's immediate recognition. You jive and you talk and they change right away. And that's happened when you came in. You felt something when you came in. I mean, that's what happens. But you have to withhold defining how you feel you should work with that person. You have to invent other ways. You have to be malleable enough and fluid enough to seemingly follow what they're saying and somewhat agree with what they're saying, always trying to lead them back to the fundamental thing that you're trying to teach. You can go way out in the left field with a person and never leave what you're waiting to say. When I just described the guitar player that came in, I immediately, it was very clear that he didn't come in to learn how to play the guitar better. He came in, it was classic. He says, what's your problem? Why are you playing so softly and stopping and starting again and then playing? He said, because I never know what to play. I never know what to play. That opened the whole thing for me. Now I know what to do with this guy. It's about him, not the guitar. He doesn't know who he is. He's lost. And so he's got no money. I said, why don't you come in 2 more times when I get back and see if you want to go on. And if you want to go on, I'll take you for whatever you can get. Give me $25. I mean, I do that. He's come out of Berkeley. He has no idea what he wants to play. And he teaches guitar up the street on Cambridge, for close by. He's lost. And so that will be the focus of the lesson, to jumpstart him and see where he goes.
Okay.
I have had people come to me that just, no. I would never go to their house. I would never invite them into my house. But they're there for a reason. And I may not know the reason. I have to find the reason. That's a teaching. Yes, I could. I could put my hands on Hitler. I would put my hands on Stalin. And I'd love to put my hands on Jesus, and I'd love to put my hands on God, but he's never asked me for a question because it's not a he. But no. You have every right to feel as though I don't think I can really work with this person, which is why you say, come in for one lesson. And which is why you say, well, let's just try 2 more lessons, and let's just see if I feel that I will be beneficial for you, and you will be benefit, and you will receive benefit. Because then you can exit without them feeling bad. A woman comes in, and I'm working with her, and she is so angry at being divorced, so angry. And I told her, I said, I can't work with you anymore. You need to see a therapist. You're too angry.
But I suppose the hope might be that in part, maybe through this work, that person could become more able to withhold definition of
you
within
don't really
themselves.
know.
You don't know, but that would be a hope, right? That if I work with this person, perhaps something will change for them.
I have a lot of young men coming in the last couple of years who don't know who they are. Guy came in from Israel, and he was like as tight as you could be. And finally, it got into the whole thing was about withholding definition. The whole thing. And then he comes and tells me exactly why. His father is so incredibly successful in Israel. Well, I don't know what it's like now. This was 6 months ago. But so incredibly successful in Israel. Everybody loves his father. He's so successful at what he does. And this guy has never been able to attain what he thinks he should be attaining. So what was the lesson about? The lesson was about, why don't you just focus on who you are and forget who your father is? Mm-hmm. And then the energy changes. But it takes a while to get to know a person. That's why you want to see them instead of look at them. They're used. Because everybody's got a story. And you're working with their story. And they wake up to it every morning. They don't wake up and give themselves direction. But you have your right to know that you're not going to be a value to this person. I can't do it. So you protect yourself and you protect them. And then there are people that are very difficult to work with. And suddenly they change.
So what I experienced is a couple of things. The first thing was meta withholding definition. And what I mean by that is when I was asking you a question and I wasn't getting the answer in the initial response that I was looking for, to be able to withhold defining that in very similar, it felt similar to Frankie yesterday. Do I have to cover, do I have to armor, or can I withhold defining that and come from wherever I am? So it's an interesting practice for me of this. I find that in these lessons, yes, it's about the thing that we're talking about, but it's also about where I am in the process of that. And I'm really interested right now in my back and finding my back. I've been feeling my back a lot more.
Come to the point.
Oh, I mean, that's the point, is that it's the things that I am getting from it are different from what I'm expecting to get from it. Mm-hmm. So you asked me a question, and the question, I mean, yes, I can answer the question, that's one point, but there's a deeper point that I'm experiencing right now of my response to the question.
Because you're getting closer to yourself.
Yeah.
You're getting closer to yourself. And the closer you are to you, and the more knowledge you have of who you are and can be and can't be and all that,
And it's empowering.
it's easy to, well, it is ultimately, but that's what you're giving to the person when you touch them.
Yeah.
When you touch somebody, you are giving them yourself. And you're also giving them themselves, because you're removing patterns of behavior that don't have anything to do with what's making them happy.
Teaching people how to not give a shit anymore about the small stuff.
Well, let's have an activity. Let's have an activity and work with it. An activity. Anybody. One such person's a teacher, the other person has the activity. The activity, I mean, you have activities that you have in your life. You know, that's a lot of your activity right there. Every single one of you has activities that you will go into apart from being here. Some of the activities involve people. Some of the activities involve the work you do, the way you think, what you read, what you see.
I would love to do.
Oh, you're taking the medicine. Well, that's an activity. I mean, that's an activity.
That's true.
And we could work with that.